Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Aliyah Martin. In the headlines, Prime Minister Skerrit says important measures will be put before Parliament. Local entrepreneurs participate in today's training workshop and climate resilience project in the works for Salibia constituency. Details of the headline stories and more when we return. Welcome back. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says that a number of important measures will be put before Parliament next week. The fourth meeting of the first session of the 10th Parliament will convene at the House of Assembly on Monday, October 26 at 10 a.m.
We had made certain pronouncements in the budget on some measures which we are putting in place to encourage activity within the economy, to empower people, to create more opportunities and job creation. And so we're going to Parliament to enact some of those policy statements into law. We made mention, for example, of the reduction of the transfer fees in respect to loan transactions. So we're going to have this enacted so that it has the full backing of the law. We also will be amending the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank agreement that deals specifically with the credit reporting from the banks and so on, to enhance the ability of the central bank to properly provide oversight and regulations to our commercial banks.
Prime Minister Skerrit says there are a number of motions which will be put towards the Parliament for additional funding from the World Bank.
Funding for health, funding for agriculture, funding for the DVR disaster vulnerable risk project, and also for the digital economy. As you know, when COVID came in, we had to mobilize significant resources to prepare for the advent of COVID, and also funds to deal with the management and the containment of the coronavirus in Dominica. This has been significant, and this amount is growing. And with what's happening in Europe, what's happening in North America, what's happening in the own Caribbean countries, it is clear that the problem is going to be compounded.
The Prime Minister says government needs funds to properly manage the COVID-19 pandemic, hence the request for the financial assistance from the World Bank.
When COVID came in, we needed to have access to immediate funds to prepare ourselves for this. We had to buy ventilators, we had to buy PPEs, we had to buy test kits, we had to ensure that we had the necessary material and resources for our testing capacity, our contact tracing, quarantine facilities. We had to be renting these places. We brought in Cubans from and nurses from doctors to augment this. We had to employ additional doctors and nurses and support staff to fight COVID-19. And so we were fortunate to have gotten funding from the World Bank, and we are procuring additional resources from them for the various interventions that we have currently ongoing.
A two-day women's entrepreneur training workshop kicked off on Wednesday, October 22 at the Salisbury Primary School. The workshop was hosted by the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security and Dominicans with Disability, and the Adult Education Division under the theme Financial Empowerment in the Midst of a Pandemic. The workshop forms part of the Enabling Gender Responsive Disaster Recovery, Climate and Environmental Resilience in the Caribbean project. It is a project led by the United Nations Development Program across 9 Caribbean countries. Minister with responsibility for gender affairs, Honorable Dr. Addis King says, emergencies such as the COVID-19 pandemic increases gender-based violence.
Today is very important to us because, as we know, gender-based violence is very, very concerning for all of us here in Dominica. Gender-based violence increases during every type of emergency, whether economic, conflict, or disease outbreaks. Pre-existing toxic social norms and gender inequalities, economic and social stress caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with restricted movement and social isolation measures, have led to an exponential increase in gender-based violence globally.
Dr. King says the workshop is one of the gender-based violence prevention initiatives implemented by her ministry under the Engender Project.
The Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security, and Dominicans with Disabilities is therefore implementing gender-based violence prevention and response programs as part of the Engender Project. The Engender Project, aimed at enabling gender-responsive disaster recovery, seeks to further integrate gender equality and human rights-based approaches in disaster risk reduction, climate change adaptation, and environmental management frameworks and interventions. All this is in an effort to identify and address the gaps to ensure equal access to disaster risk reduction and climate and environment resilience for our women, our men, our boys, and our girls.
The minister says the main purpose of the 2-day training is to promote socio-economic empowerment and to increase their chances of employability.
As part of this COVID-19 response program, the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment and the Gender Affairs, in collaboration with Adult Education through the Engender Project, is pleased to deliver today's entrepreneurship training under the theme Financial Empowerment in the Midst of a Pandemic. The main objective of this training is to promote the socio-economic empowerment of our women and to increase employability of rural women entrepreneurs. This coincides with last week's observation of International Rural Women's Day, which drew attention to the crucial role that women play in ensuring the sustainability of rural households and communities, improving rural livelihoods and overall well-being.
Dr. King says that it is important that women are trained in entrepreneurship for the improvement of the private sector.
Given the unprecedented impacts of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, on the heels of recovering from Hurricane Maria, it is vital that women are empowered in entrepreneurship training, creating a safe space for self-reliance and resiliency. Women are an indispensable part of the private sector as it pertains to economic growth, employment, and job creation. The participation of our women in small business renovates the quality and structure of the workforce and the society as a whole.
The Salibia constituency will benefit from the Climate Resilience Project, which is a collaboration between the Government of Dominica and the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB. The scope of the project will include the construction of an emergency shelter and an agricultural research station. The first component of the project will be the improvement of local institutional capacity in community planning and development and resilience building, increased community engagement and access to safe, dedicated emergency shelter facilities with the construction of an emergency shelter, enhanced capacity for the resilient livelihoods, and project management and administration and visibility. This component of the project is valued at $3.6 million. The second component of the project will be the construction of an agricultural research center, which will be located at Bataka and is valued at roughly 8.4 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. Minister for the Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment, Honorable Kozia Frederick says the project was drafted from lessons learned from Hurricane Maria, where the disaster vulnerability assessment was conducted.
This project came in right on the heels of Maria, and where we wanted to ensure that whatever we're doing in that space is along the lines of resilience and also to contribute positively to the economy. So we designed a project, and we highlighted two main ones that the CDB is going to support us on, an agricultural station and also an emergency shelter. These two are very, very important because the livelihoods for agriculture has to be sustained in a timely manner, and to ensure that not only do we have modern processes but also safeguarding the heritage. So all of the plants that were endemic to that space can now be utilized, the wawa, the yams, all of those I term it exotic foods could be done in that space. The cassava also. The emergency shelter is important because while nationally we are doing the seven district shelters, we'd realize that the Kalinago territory, when you did assessment, may be cut off from any one of the centers.
As part of Dominica's independence celebrations this year, the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training, and National Excellence, in collaboration with the Division of Culture, initiated a list of activities for schools across the island. Parts of the activities included a sand pooling fishing expedition event, which was hosted by the Savonpai Primary School on Thursday, October 22, 2020. Principal of the Savonpai Primary School, Mrs. Martha Austri, says the aim for this activity was to expose the students to Dominica's traditional fishing practices.
One of the things that we wanted to get done, we have an objective at the back of this. We wanted to expose our students to some of the traditional ways of doing things. Many years ago, how our fathers and grandfathers did it, because we notice a number of our students of this age, they are not familiar with this.
Mrs. Austri says the students were also taught the process of fish cleaning.
We really hope that our objective was really met. Right now, some of the students are learning how to clean the fish after it was demonstrated by Miss Carbon. And so we are very happy that we got to do this activity today. We hope it's going to remain etched in their memories for a very long time.
Teacher at the Savonpai Primary School, Miss Indira Pierre-Louis, expressed her thanks to the Ministry of Education for approving this activity.
We want to say thanks to the Ministry of Education, who gave us the permission to be able to conduct this activity. Although it could have been better, but because the seas rolling, the fishermen said that we could not have the children get the real experience of pulling the net. But I am hoping that one day we will take them out again and have them get that full experience of actually pulling the net themselves, because that was the original plan. All in all, it was a successful day. The children had fun, and apart from the fact that they didn't get to pull the net, they learned how to clean the fish and all of that. So.
Meantime, students of the Savonpai Primary School described their fishing experience.
We went fishing and we were taught how they casted the net. So it's very interesting because they made a big circle so that the fish can't escape. And they trap them and they slowly reels it in so then the fish can get trapped. But unfortunately, the fish and them, there were 0 fish in the net. I did enjoy the activities today, and I might become a fisherman because this is just so fun.
I'm looking forward to clean the fish and catch more fish. I hope I catch more fish next time.
Robertson Douglas, who is a fisherman of the Savonpai community, assisted with this training. He says he is pleased to have been able to interact with the students.
Today was a day where the teachers and them contacted me to be with the children to do some fishing and show them how to cast the net and things, but it had a lot of fish there, but what happened through the seawater was a little rough and it kind of whitish, so we couldn't do what we were supposed to do. But I think next time if anything, it will be a little better. I feel happy about it too, the same way with them, showing them what to do.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. The Rosa Primary School 4-H Club has made donations to 3 residents of Bath Estate and a student in recognition of World Food Day, which was observed on Friday, October 16, 2020. Ms. Letitia St. Rose is a teacher at the Rosa Primary School.
In light of that, we decided to have our students bring in an item or a few items to donate to people that we saw actually needed it. So for about 3 weeks now, our students have been bringing items such as tin stuff, cleaning supplies, and we have collected quite a few. And we have decided to give to Julia Samuel, Mr. Matthew, and Mrs. Dory Joseph, who are all from Bath Estate. We also identify a student from our school who we are going to present with a food basket.
One of the students made the donation to Miss Julia Samuel.
On the behalf of the 4-H Club and the students of the Rosa Primary School, we are presenting a donation to you, Miss Julia Samuel, on World Food Day. We hope you appreciate it.
Miss Samuel thanked the staff and students for this gesture.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You're most welcome. God bless all you.
Thank you.
The Lord be with all over you.
Meantime, the development of sports remains a priority for the government of Dominica. Minister for Sports, Honorable Rosalind Paul, says construction works continues on the Massac basketball court and is expected to be completed by the end of this year.
We have been seeing the progress that's been made on the Massac court, and it's going to be a very important facility not only for the community of Massac but for us nationally. And even regionally. I remember talking to one of the ministers of sports in the OECS, and they're even looking at that facility that would accommodate games within the OECS, regional competitions. So that is a very important facility, and progress is really going very well right now, and we would hope that we can have this facility by end of this year.
Minister Paul says the equipment for the basketball court is already on island.
We have to just do the lighting right now. Works are ongoing on the flooring. The windows have been put in and so on. And once the lights are in and other equipment, we can open. So all the equipment has been procured.
The minister says work is also ongoing on the hard courts, which are located in the forecourt of the Windsor Park Sports Stadium.
We have the hard courts at the stadium, and we have paid the contractor even some funds in advance that we can push the work there. All the equipment are in storage. Everything that we need to put on the court is already here and in storage. So we hope, well, the contractor is putting things in place to restart.
Minister Paul says plans for the alteration of the $2.3 million multi-purpose sports complex in Stock Farm are currently being revisited.
This facility, as we know, is one which is very, very important for the nation. And there is commitment to ensuring it's done. Right now it's in process. Actually, it had already been tendered out.
We came back too high.
It came back too high. So there are some alterations being made to have it resubmitted. So that is the holdback right now.
The government of Dominica continues to place emphasis on students with special needs. This is shown as many schools recently rehabilitated by the government were designed with special provisions made for students with special needs. Minister for Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, Honorable Octavia Alfred says, research shows that schools with provision for students with these needs encourages better attendance and learning from these students.
Research has shown that children with special education needs who are inclusive in classes are absent less often and they develop stronger skills in all areas. In an effort to ensure that all our children succeed, this government continues to place special emphasis on special education. This new school is fitted with special washroom facilities for students with special needs. We have also made allowance for those who may be wheelchair users. Not only do we have special and adequate washroom facilities, but we plan to install hand washing stations in several areas on the school grounds.
Minister Alfred says schools are also being designed so that they are able to host community and cultural events.
Community groups are encouraged to use the building as a center for cultural activities, adult learning, meetings, and any other activities that can engender growth and development of your people. This, I believe, is an opportunity to strengthen partnership between the community and the school, and by extension, the Ministry of Education. It also provides the community with an avenue and a venue for skills development among the young people in Salisbury who may be looking for ways to improve knowledge in technical areas to generate income for themselves and their families.
The Ministry for Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment observed National Tree Planting Day on October 22, 2020 as part of the 42nd anniversary of independence celebrations. The Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment and Parliamentary Representative for the Salibia constituency, Honorable Cozier Frederick, says this year in the focus of sustainable development by the planting of mahogany trees, which will eventually generate economic activity.
We are moving beyond the planting of just flowers. So today we are going into mahogany. So along the ridge here, we are told that it's a good place to plant those sort of plants. So it will beautify the place, and also in the future it will be an economic activity for the people who have lands in that area. So we'll be calling them to take care of those plants as we move along. And that, it's a continuous process. So we're happy on the National Day of Tree Planting that we could do of it in the Kalinago territory. Now the folks who are the main core of that movement here today are the people in the NEP. So they are now working an extra day as part of the community service to ensure that we have the manpower to make sure that we beautify the place and we plant the trees so we can have a safer environment for the future generations.
And now your weather update. A tropical wave is expected to generate scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across most of the Lesser Antilles, mainly during the morning period. Improved conditions are expected by this afternoon as a high-pressure system builds. Another tropical wave is expected to produce showers and possible thunderstorm activity across the island chain on Monday. Moderate sea conditions are expected during the next 24 hours, with waves up to 8 feet. A further increase in waves peaking near 10 feet is anticipated by Saturday as surface winds gradually increase across the area. A small craft advisory is in effect for above normal seas. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Aliyah Martin. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.